You know their crimes. You've heard about their victims, and you've had a glimpse into their mind. But do you really want to know what would make someone snap? Do you wonder how someone becomes a cold blooded killer? Is the psyche of a serial killer all that different from yours? Is it possible you may even know someone with a proclivity toward evil? We're about to dive deep into the heart of what makes people tick. Is it nature or is it nurture? You decide.
And even until this point in her life now, looking back, like it doesn't sound like she ever had a day that she wasn't in pain,
I don't think so. No.
right? Like
No.
every day was just, how am I going to survive this day?
Survival mode, yeah.
The fact that she made it that far, I mean, again, what she did it's horrendous.
Oh, no, yeah, for sure.
Um, and had she not done these things, I mean, just looking at like, human to human, right?
Right.
This woman was in, God, who only knows amounts of emotional pain every single waking hour of her life. She had to be. She had to be.
I agree. But she meets
Tyra.
I can remember Tyra Moore.
Tyra Moore.
24-year-old Tyra Moore, who was a maid at a motel in Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
And Aileen's supporting them both while she's prostituting. And yeah, I think I can never pronounce her name.
Just
Tyra.
Like Tyra Banks.
I don't know why I
but
call her Tyra.
because it's spelled weird.
Yeah,
it's like Tyria, like Tyria, but it's not said that way.
Tyra.
Her parents overcomplicated it.
They really did. Just keep those shorter letters.
Just Tyra.
Yeah, let's be done with it.
I could be wrong, but we're gonna go with Tyra. So.
No one cares about Tyra. So yeah, Tyra Moore. I think Tyra Moore definitely was a part of what she was doing. In fact, actually one of the victims, which we will go into the victims, but Peter Seams, I think his name was Peter Seams. Or there's actually a situation where she actually took his car after she killed him, crashed it, and then I'm pretty sure witnesses gave a description that it was those two after they fled.
Yeah, I think Tyra had much more involvement than she admitted 100%. To. And in an effort also to kind of save her own ass, she played innocent.
There's no way Eileen's not telling her what she's doing,
right?
Because I feel like Aileen has to. I feel like Aileen, at the end of the day, it was just she wanted to be in control of a lot of things in her life. And I think she wanted to be the breadwinner and bring home the money for her.
I mean, she was, I guess, both of them, I think, had said that she was very possessive, jealous.
I mean, I can see that.
But I also think this was like the first time that Aileen felt anything close to what love might be, at least to the extent that she could experience it and understood it to be. I think that she really became very attached to Tyra and relied on her heavily for her a source of stability and safety, emotional support and affection and, whatever else.
Something that she didn't really receive from anyone.
Right, and didn't know how to.
Right.
So it's sad, but it's interesting because it did make her also very possessive and controlling.
So I can certainly see her saying, I did this today. I got us this car from this guy that I left in this area, So I think Tyra knew a lot more than, she let on. Which,
and Aileen had nothing to lose too, because she did testify to that, and during interviews said the same thing. Like, you know what, like, Tyra loved this. Like, she loved that. I would come home, I would have cash on me. She knew where it was coming from. She just, kind of willfully ignorant, and just kind of, I guess, got used to the lifestyle and wanted more, which pushed Aileen to continue in part to do what she did.
Do you think that's what started this whole? I mean, obviously, we don't know if she did kill anyone.
prior to the first victim.
Well, the first victim wasn't until 89.
Right.
So that was, what, 3 years after her and Tyra got
Right.
together. And she had prostituted for years before that, too.
Right. But
So
what
it
pushed
does
her
beg
to
the
the
question,
point?
right?
Yeah.
Like, what changed?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, years of doing that, plus her childhood, plus drinking, plus drugs, and just being impacted by life over the course of several years could have certainly just made it more difficult for her to continue to do what she was doing without snapping,
Right.
right?
Just bending and bending.
But it is
and
interesting that it didn't start happening until
Yeah.
after she met Tyra.
Because Eileen claimed that a lot of the guys were attempting to rape her, assault her, and that's why she killed them.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's hard for me not to believe that you didn't face those things prior to
Right. She most certainly did.
1989. So something significant had to have happened.
And it could have been something as simple, which is not simple, but something as simple as a mental break.
Right.
Like she had just had enough of that life.
She
and something broke in
finally
her.
snapped.
Who knows? But again, I do think it's interesting. It's hard to know.
No, for sure.
Whether or not it was Tyra, but maybe the relationship with Tyra did something to her, mental state too.
And she just really felt like she had to do that. She just had to. Maybe.
So yeah, the first victim was Richard Mallory, 1989.
Electronic store owner, right? Richard Mallory.
Yes.
Accused of raping and sodomizing her.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, first victim claimed she did it in self-defense.
But he also was found with multiple gunshot wounds.
Right.
To me, it is self-defense. You hit your target where you can, and you get the hell out of there.
Well, that's
right?
that's the thing too. A lot had more, injuries and more GSWs than the others. Some of them had like 9. It was 6. I mean, and then some 2 or 3. So it's like
And I believe so. And not to get too far ahead, but this particular guy was the one that had prior charges, and they later found out that based on the evidence, it was more than likely that he was attempting to rape her. And if that's the case, being that it was her first, perhaps that's what maybe also could have been the catalyst. But like you said, I find it hard to believe that that was the first.
Right.
After all the years of prostituting.
Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it kind of comes with the territory. You do something like that, right? You're getting in the car with strangers and doing very intimate things with people.
40 to 65-year-old man,
right?
Middle-aged man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it could have just been, a combination of whatever happened to her and Tyra during that day. The strain of that relationship. Whatever she was going through, on top of perhaps him. Trying to sexually assault her in a sense of, where she doesn't have control, and now she's back to, being young again and feeling like, what, I'm just going to do it.
I do. I feel like she at that point was really at the point where she's like, the only thing that she had left to lose was Tyra.
Right.
And I think that she would have done anything to keep her.
And maybe that could have been it. That could have been it. I got to keep my girl.
Right. Got to keep her happy. And she felt like that was the right thing to do, regardless of what she had to do to do it. And yeah, not to focus too much on the victims, unless you wanted to elaborate. But because there were 7.
7 only charged for 6, right? Isn't that? I thought because she didn't.
Because of the first one.
Right. So she only got 6 counts.
Convictions, right?
Yeah.
On 6 out of the 7.
Yeah.
So just briefly, the second one, David Spears.
Right.
He was found nude. He was shot 6 times in the torso.
Yeah.
Again, it's an angry killing.
So she,
I would think,
that was a part of her process. I mean, she wasn't really a planner, but she would lure him to these locations, to 6 times in the chest. I mean, he's clearly in front of her,
Yeah.
and she's holding the gun right at him.
And the humiliation
Yeah.
too of him being nude while she did it. I think
He was vulnerable.
that's a part of it.
Yeah.
The third victim, Charles Carskaden,
Cascading, yeah.
found a few days later after Mr. Spears' body was found, shot 9 times in the chest and stomach.
Insane.
Then we had Troy Burress. He was found in 1990, less than a week after he was reported missing. Now, just to kind of, again, put things into perspective a little bit, Mr. Spears was the second victim was found June of 1990. Carskaden was found a few days after Spears.
Right.
And then Burress was found in August. So we're still talking in the period of like less than 60 days.
Yeah, it's close. Like, I think she's starting
like
to
she
get.
went
She's
berserk.
saying she's not thrill seeking. There's
I
something
think that
there.
there was something that she found. Yeah, because
she got a little taste of that control and power and compliance that a gun provides.
Yeah.
And she's enjoying
something,
it. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he was found. He had just 2 gunshots to the torso. Then we had Charles Dick Humphreys.
Yeah.
He was found in September of 90. He had multiple gunshot wounds to his head and torso.
Former state child abuse
which was
investigator.
really interesting. I don't think that she knew that, but
No.
it is ironic, right?
It is. Yeah.
And also, just to go back a little bit, a lot of these guys were found in separate, like different counties than they were from.
Yes.
And they all were in different counties, but in a cluster, so to speak. You know what I mean? So then number 6, we had Peter Signs.
Yeah, Peter. I called him Signs or Seams. I'm sorry.
He was traveling. He was found in July of 90, so I guess he wasn't quite in order. He would have been actually before Troy, but in any event, his body was never found.
Never found. Yeah.
So maybe he was the one that she wasn't convicted of, or was it?
Maybe, but there were
I think
witnesses.
she confessed to that one.
Did she confess? I was gonna say witnesses that did see her abandoning his car, and then there were her fingerprints also located in the car. So.
And then, last but not least, Walter Antonio, partially disrobed in November of 90, shot 4 times in the back and head. His car was found 5 days later, again in a different county.
So she definitely had an MO for sure. She was definitely organized and disorganized. She was not one or the other. She was organized in a sense where she used the gun. She knew it would get her compliance. She targeted these middle-aged males. She lured them to locations where she could murder them, and
organized in the way that she would find her victims.
Yeah.
Right? Because they were all Johns.
They were all Johns.
It's not like she went to like rob a bank and murdered the store clerk or something.
Right.
They were specifically Johns, and she did testify to that too. I mean, that she had her reasons for it.
I mean, they're just easier targets, and she can get things from them, which is part of the disorganized category because she's stealing their credit cards, their stuff, their cars. It's like stuff that can get traced back to you. So she wasn't very smart in that regards. Yeah, and a lot of the killings were spontaneous and erratic and overkill, as you specified.
Do you think that it was that because she was not very intelligent. I think she did have street smarts. So do you think that it wasn't that she was smart or she just didn't care?
Well, she was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder later on. So
she just didn't care whether she got caught, or did she just think that she was above the law? It wasn't going to happen.
I think she didn't care. I think she cared about her and Tyra, and that was the only thing. In her mind, she was probably like, oh, like if I kill them in this remote location, it's fine because nobody sees me.
Right. And they're
Like,
assholes for,
yeah, and he tried
wanting to
to,
cheat on their wives
yeah,
or whatever.
whatever rationale she was trying, to
Yeah.
justify what she'd done. So,
Well, and at one point she tried to rationalize it by saying that the police knew what she was doing
right,
and that she was trying to clean up the streets, right, so to speak. That
vigilante.
she was this, they knew it that she was doing it and they let her kill. Whether or not she really believed that, I don't know. I don't think she
I
did.
mean, her father was schizophrenic. She could have been too.
Who
Who
knows?
knows what delusions she
Right.
was
And people like that can convince, even if they don't believe it at first,
telling herself.
they can eventually convince yourself of it,
Yeah,
right? I mean, who
I
knows?
mean, who knows? But yeah, she antisocial personality disorder. Yeah, lack of empathy, manipulative behavior, criminal behavior she went on. I mean, I think she just didn't care.
Yeah.
She just didn't care, combined with her borderline personality disorder, and
Right.
we've cooked up a serial killer.
Yeah. Yeah. She has been stewing in that pot for a long
Just a lot of
time.
those key ingredients there, unstable emotions, being neglected,
Hmm.
feeling no self worth, distorted
All the
sense of
basics,
self.
right?
Just throw some of that in. Yeah,
Yeah. Parental abandonment,
throw that in.
abuse. It's like the salt and pepper of the
Yeah,
meal, you know? I mean,
Fish would be like, "Let me get that.
I was
Let me
just going
write
to
that down for."
say.
Fish is like, "Do you want me to throw in an ass cheek?" Or
It's a,
I
all right.
yeah,
So we
that's
can
how
move
I
on.
cope. That's
January
that's how
1991,
I cope.
she was arrested. She was caught.
The last resort. What is it? The last resort. What's the bar called?
Yeah, the last resort bar. Again, you can't make this
You
stuff up.
can't, man. You really can't.
And sadly, I do kind of feel bad for her because it was with the help of Tyra.
Yo, yeah. I think she
She
was
set her up.
arrested under the gaze of warrants. I think bench warrants or something
Right.
like that.
But Tyra ultimately, she
Well,
worked
yeah,
with police to say, look, this is where she's going to
she did
be.
it. Tyra got an immunity deal.
Right.
So, I mean, you don't just get an immunity deal.
No.
Like, you did some shit. Like, you were a part of some shit. You were definitely an
Right. You're not
accessory.
offered a deal unless there's a reason to give you a deal.
Like, you might have
right?
not done anything. You were an accessory for sure. Like,
Yeah, certainly not as
no,
innocent as she tried to make herself
no,
out to be. And I
no.
can understand why Aileen would be pretty pissed about that. But, there were interviews later on where she's like, I loved her. I still love her.
Yeah,
I
she
forgive
was
her.
love of her life. Love of her life.
Who knows?
Tyra Moore. Yeah, 1991, right? She was arrested.
Yes. Hmm.
Goes to trial. Isn't she also adopted at
Yeah.
some
So
lady?
this is weird. Okay. Yeah. This was just so bizarre. And I couldn't remember if this was in the movie or not, but then I think that it was.
I don't remember.
So Arlene Prawl
Yes.
becomes this like friend. I don't know if she was like
She contacted her.
like she wrote her letters or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, so Prawl, like she legally adopted Aileen after her trial because she claimed that she had a dream in which she was told by God to take care of Aileen. That Jesus said that she had to write to Aileen and needed to take care of her, and so she did, right? And Aileen believed it, and Aileen accepted her friendship and
She's just
trusted
looking for
her,
love, man.
right? Like
Yeah.
she finally thought, all right, somebody's on my side. Because at that point, again, her brother's gone, her grandfather's gone, her parents are gone, and now the love of her life is gone.
Yeah, Tyra just fucking threw her to the wolves.
Right? But here comes
betrayed
this
her.
woman who says that, I'm going to be your friend. I'm going to be your adoptive mother. I'm going to help you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to be here for you. You can trust me. And then it turns out she was using her for money from the media.
Profiting off a murderer.
Right.
I wonder where she got that idea.
Right.
The Lutz, maybe? I don't know.
Like, good point. And eventually, Wuornos suspected that that's what was going on with it.
She should have came up with a book or a story about how the voices told her to do it as well.
Yeah, right.
Told me to kill.
You could have made like a little bit more money. Turned it into a ghost story.
Some supernatural. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No. Hey, listen.
I mean, I don't care, but for the viewer's sake, I'll let you speak. I don't want you to Aileen me. So
Yeah, that's what I thought. In any event, so yeah, this lady dicked her over, to put it bluntly.
Got dicked over a lot.
She did. And yeah, eventually, I think it was 92, she pleaded no contest to the murders of Dick, Troy, and David Spears, saying that she wanted to get right with God.
Right.
And ultimately, she was executed October 9th of 2002.
2002, she was executed. Yeah. And I did hear that, I could be wrong, but I did hear the first attempt to lethal injection did not work. And they had to do it again.
I heard that as well. She had a very interesting statement. That were her last words.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Would you like to bless us with those?
She said, I would just like to say that I'll be back with The Rock. No, what did she say? I'll be back with The Rock.
I'll be back. I know. Sailing?
Oh, I'll be sailing with, okay, that's, I always get
He's
those.
memorized it, so I'm just
I
testing
always
him
get
right
those
now.
two. Yeah, so I would just like to say that I'm sailing with The Rock, and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus, June 6th, like the movie, big mothership and all. I'll be back.
Nailed it.
I'll be back. Yeah, I
Nailed
always
it.
get those two first ones, but once I get them
but
right,
yeah, completely nonsensical. Nothing
June
happened
6th,
on June 6th.
like the movie.
Like the movie.
Big mothership.
you know. But I said I had to make note of this, and we talked about maybe having some merch, right?
Oh,
Because Aileen, she had some good quotes.
she did have some.
One
good
of
quotes.
my favorites were, it was, if you can't be a good example, at least be a horrible warning.
Yeah, that's good.
I love it.
Because
love
it's true.
Yes.
Because people are shit.
She said, I'm one who seriously hates human life and would kill again. I wanted to clear all the lies and let the truth come out. I have hate crawling through my system. And I think that was probably one of the truest things that she said.
It started as a seed when she was young, and it just grew and grew in every situation, every sexual encounter, every traumatic event, and it just blossomed into this big flower of hatred.
Yeah. One of the defense attorneys actually referred to her as a damaged, primitive child.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, at a young age, but like I was saying before, neurologically, your prefrontal cortex just gets rewired, right? Your amygdala, right? These things are responsible for regulating your emotions, your fear, your rage, things like that. An overactivity in one, and a decrease in activity in another, a decrease in the prefrontal and an over one in the amygdala. So, and these things happen from a very young age. These regions of the brain, they just get rewired. And over time, you begin to know empathy. Let alone when you're a kid, you end up suppressing a lot of your emotions anyway.
Right, because you think you have to.
You think you have to, so you don't grow up learning normal, ways to or responses to different different events and things like that you face. So,
and I think only in the last maybe 20, 30 years, which sounds like a long time, but it's not. But I think that the psychologists, neurologists are just realizing the impact that childhood trauma really has, and even still learning how that impacts a developing brain.
Right.
That it can cause permanent changes. And goes so far to say that it's brain damage. Even in households where children are growing up with parents who are fighting, right? And kids witness that fighting.
Because it just changes your whole outlook.
How you're developing. And not to say that these things can't be oftentimes healed.
And not that everyone...
Right? And think you can recircuit things. I mean, there's a lot of therapy and all kinds of stuff. And like yours, right, people perceive things differently.
They
So
process trauma
you could
differently.
grow up in a household with fighting that
Right.
maybe
And
you're more resilient
yeah,
to it,
I'm
right?
like, then I'm not gonna be a household where there's just tons of fights in them. I don't want that for myself growing
Right.
up,
So you
right?
become a more peaceful, more
Yes.
centered
Right.
individual, right? Somebody else could witness the same thing.
Opposite direction.
It's all they know, and they become angry and hostile, and
That's the
personalities are volatile. And that's, I think, what makes this podcast so interesting
right.
is figuring out why, right? Like, why
Those dynamics. Yeah.
does that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Why is somebody so much more predisposed to turning in the wrong direction as opposed to making their life better?
I know it's always fascinating to me because I know someone who has siblings of abuse and just major trauma, yet that person decided that they wanted something different for
Mhm.
their lives. You know, they didn't want to do that. You know, if they had kids, they didn't want to bring that in. But then the siblings, on the other hand, went the opposite direction, and now that's what they're used to. So that's what the relationships they have,
Right.
you know. And now there's a little resentment I feel toward the sibling who decided not to because they're like, what makes you, in their mind, to me, it's like, what makes you so better than
Like,
me?
why are you better?
Why are
Right.
you better than, you know, like we went through the same things, or you witnessed, you know, what
Yeah.
I went through. Like, why aren't you feeling how I feel?
Right. And is that response and that perception because of nurture, or is it nature? And it almost makes you think it is nature, because if it's nurture, then the other sibling would have the
The same,
same
yeah,
view.
yeah,
So why is it that one sees something so differently than the other? And it can come down even biologically to gender, right? Like males and females, and the way that male and female perceive
perceive,
things,
yeah,
and how we are, raised even differently, even by parents who think they're raising their kids the same. They don't.
right,
You're going to raise your son differently than you raise your
right.
daughter.
It's just how it is.
It's human
It's how it's
nature.
been. Yeah,
And I don't think society, I don't think appreciate that enough, or really look at that as deeply as we should in trying to understand why things happen the way that they happen, why people do the things that they do. We're not always going to get answers,
no, we're
right?
not.
But
That's the fascinating part. You
it's
know?
interesting to see how nature and nurture really does impact somebody.
No, it is like, well, like you were saying, like having these siblings, same situation, and then one chooses one path and the other one chooses the other. And yeah, I think that probably is more of a nature thing.
Yeah.
I think so.
But Eileen,
Like I said, she was doomed from the start.
I think she was too. She did have a very sad life, and my heart breaks for Eileen the child.
The child, yeah, yeah.
Eileen the adult, she could have made other choices. I just don't
She
know
knew
that she
right
was
from wrong.
capable.
She knew right from wrong, but like you said, yeah, I don't know if she was capable.
She knew it was wrong to kill these guys.
Right.
She tried to rationalize it.
Yes.
She knew it was wrong, and that's ultimately what did her in.
Yeah.
That they couldn't claim that she was, criminally insane.
She was fully aware, and that's the case a lot of the times. You know, once a person does something that they appear competent, you know, like she kills them, she takes their shit, and she leaves them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not a crazy person. That's not a person who just was so overwhelmed with the emotional situation they killed someone erratically and was very frenzied, and they were just like in complete shock. Like that's
Right.
not someone. You know, that person is like maybe they are. You know, maybe they did have uh, a mental crisis, so
Right.
to speak. You know, rather than a person who's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and take that, and I'm gonna show my girlfriend what I did and tell her about it. And we're gonna go on a joyride in people's
Right.
cars.
And people like that don't even really understand why somebody else would be like, "Oh my God, what did you just do?"
I know.
Right? And
I
then
know.
they're shocked by it, like, "You're not proud of me that I just murdered this person, and I brought you all of,
The
I brought you this gold
spoils.
watch, and I got
Brought you the spoils.
right, like
My hard-earned gains here.
right." And that's the difference. Like you can have mental illness. Doesn't mean that you don't know right from wrong. And that's where
Right.
we keep going back to in
Yeah.
this, where it's it doesn't justify
No,
taking somebody else's life. That is
not at all.
not
It doesn't.
that is not your responsibility
But
to do. It's not okay.
no, it's not. It's not okay. But, those are the ingredients that cooked up Aileen
Like I
Wuornos.
always say, be good to your kids.
Yes, please. Please be good, especially around the holidays, because I've seen
Yeah, that seems to be which will lead up to our next one. I don't know if it's going to be out before Christmas,
it
but
might not, but it will be out.
it'll be our Christmas New Year's special.
Yeah, where we talk about the Covina massacre.
That's
Yeah,
a good one.
that
They're all good, though.
a lot. So a lot of that I've seen. A lot of children, family annihilators, just wiping out their parents just because they're not.
Holidays.
Yeah. Mom wants me to move out during the holidays. She wants me to start paying rent. She doesn't want me hanging out with this person that I really like. Like,
So I'm gonna have to
fuck.
just blow their.
So I'm gonna have to just get rid of them because I want this different life. I want this independent life. I want their money that I'm, supposed to inherit. And the only way I can think about doing it is just taking them off this.
Well, and
off this
I mean,
planet.
that's what everybody thought with the brothers right now that are trying. They've just had a Netflix
Oh,
special.
the Menendez.
Menendez
The
brothers.
Menendez brothers, which we could do that one too, because
That's an interesting case too. But now that this new information has come out,
because
it's
are
really
they getting
looking
out?
like maybe I don't know if they're getting. I think they're going to get another trial.
Okay.
I think they're getting
Right.
the right to appeal
Okay.
their sentencing, because there's case law out there about children or just people who do things like that who have been abused by their family. That it doesn't give them an exemption. But it is looked at differently as far as how the law and the sentencing is applied.
Well, I think that's
to
what
their
happened to their
case.
first trial, right? Like they had like a specialist come in and kind of talk to everyone about the impact of their abuse that they were
Right. But people thought they
enduring.
were just spoiled kids,
Yeah.
and the media presented it that way. And now that there is this other witness who had come out and said that their father sexually abused him, and he was this big entertainment mogul in the
Well,
music industry.
We are starting to see in the
And
music
we-
industry.
And I think that that's going to have a lot of weight.
Yeah, people are getting abused and raped.
Yeah.
It's just, the industry is not a place that you want your kids either.
No, I think it's going to be interesting to see what the outcome is to this Diddy stuff.
So I can definitely see how, like, I can see some validity to their claims.
Yeah, if what
you
they
know?
said is true, absolutely.
I can see
Again,
that.
it does not justify it, doesn't make it right.
It doesn't.
You're trying to look at it
It
from the
doesn't.
eyes of an adolescent,
A
teenager,
kid going through
who's
abuse,
afraid of their father, who's got
Fathers,
all the money, who's powerful.
power and
Yeah.
influence. No matter what you say, you just, in your mind, you're like, no one's going to listen to me.
Right.
Like,
And you've probably been raised to believe that.
yes.
Don't tell
So now
anybody. No one's going to believe you.
Yeah.
You're worthless.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I'm this person. I have this money.
right. And who are you?
Who-
You're nothing without me.
There you go.
So
Only
see what
option.
happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we can definitely
Very
cover them
interesting.
as well. They are an interesting case.
And of
but,
course, anybody has any recommendations?
oh, for sure.
Please.
I do want to talk to you about the John Bonet case. Like, I did a little something on my channel, just kind of going through the family dynamics,
Yeah,
profiling.
there's been some stuff coming out lately
profiling
too.
the perpetrator or
Mhm.
perpetrators, so to speak, and what was going on. So I did a little something, but I definitely want to get into that more because I honestly believe there was a huge cover up, and they were working with the police. And
I think there was too, and I think there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, but I feel like the dad had some connections
No, for
and
sure.
things that really put some stains on that case. That there is something off.
No, yeah.
There's something. I mean, it's off in the fact that this poor child was murdered the way that she was at all,
No,
murdered
yeah,
at
for
all.
sure.
But
Just
something's weird,
the entire
know.
investigation,
and I think it lies with
was fucked.
something with the father.
No, yeah,
Because a lot of people wanted to blame the mother for some people said envy because the mother was this,
Right. That could have been a
little
thing.
beauty pageant star and wanted her daughter to be the same thing. And she ended up dying of I think it was ovarian cancer several years ago. With the more information that came out later on, I don't think that's the case. I think she was a loving mother. Maybe she was aware of some things going on. I don't know, but I don't think that she was the killer. Who knows?
I don't know. She doesn't seem like she's too bothered by it. A lot of interviews I saw. Yeah, we can get into the JonBenet stuff. I just think the investigation was botched and the DNA evidence was
The
false.
investigation was absolutely botched.
Like that, picking her up from the fucking crime scene and taking all the shit off her. Now his DNA.
Even like there was DNA that's in things. There was DNA evidence, I believe, that was found on her underwear that was seminal fluid, I believe. But yet they said that there was no evidence in the autopsy to show that she had been like sexually assaulted.
Only with the paintbrush, I believe.
See, there's something.
It's nothing. Yeah.
Something doesn't seem right. There's too many. But why this? But what? There's just too many buts.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a lot of whys. It's like,
and all the people that were in the family's home the night before too, because they had this big Christmas party. The family was very like well known, and but yeah, Dad was involved in some political stuff.
I think it was a huge cover up.
Did you see the brothers interview on Dr. Phil?
Yeah. I'm like, dude. Like,
he's off.
I don't even need a degree.
I don't know that
I don't need a degree to tell me that you're fucking lying about something. Like,
but he knows something. There's something very off.
I'm like, why did you even do this interview? I don't know why. What compelled
him
to
even think that was okay? Like, if I were Dr. Phil, I'd be like, all right, I just feel bad.
I'd be like, can we cut and be like, are you sure you want to continue this? Like,
yeah,
because you're looking.
Unless it's just, because they did say he may have been on the spectrum, so that could have been just the way that he comes across when he's like nervous. I don't know. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but something was not right.
Something was not right. Not right at all. They should have not let him do that. Like, he clearly felt confident enough to get on TV and do an interview. Like,
right.
And they felt confident enough in him to get on TV to do that interview.
But he was of age too, so they could have just exploited him, even if he wasn't like. If he is autistic, maybe he's like highly functioning. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is, but there was something off.
They should not have him.
No,
they should have not had him.
He needed
do
a helper.
He probably did have one.
Like the kind that you use to get on and off the bus.
Because the helmet that's underneath.
I know.
It's a very small one, but we will get into JonBenet at some point if she ever shows up again.
She's not going to show up.
I'm talking about if you ever show up. Although there are conspiracists who believe that Katy Perry. Yeah,
I know. She does a little.
We are into the same shit. She does a little. But back to
Katy Perry kind of went bad shit too.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
I don't know, the whole industry. There's something going on, people. I'm just saying. Don't come
put
for me.
your kids in there.
Ever. Hide them.
Hide your kids from
homeschool them.
Any type of entertainment industry shit. Like, protect your children for sure.
Aileen Wuornos. How to do it? Just follow Little House on the Prairie.
Aileen Wuornos.
Eating a ma and a pa and a farm, eating hard work, labor, home cooked food, a garden.
Watch Yellowstone.
Or that and get yourself a hat.
Yellowstone. Yeah.
On that note.
Yeah, on that note, that is Aileen Wuornos. And look out for the merch. I'll do some test stuff. I'll do some test. It shouldn't be.
If you can't be a good example, at least be a horrible warning. Shout out to attorney Mike Jollett. Maybe we can get him to help us with
because it should be fine.
This quoting issue, right?
I feel like people use tons of quotes.
They do, but maybe they do it with permission. We don't know.
I mean, maybe that Prowl lady still has some control over
She's Eileen's new mother.
Maybe Eileen's new mom still has control over
Apparently.
her rights and stuff. In any event, we thank you guys for tuning in to our special about Aileen Wuornos. We do ask that you like the video, subscribe to the video, share the video,
And comment on the video.
Oh yeah, please. Most importantly, comment.
Check out Frank's other channel.
Check out Murder, Mayhem, and Malice in 10. Let me know what you guys think about the hat.
If you want a hat.
Yeah, if you want a hat. And happy holidays or Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you know what? We're not PC here.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Merry fucking Christmas.
Don't put the F word before Christ. Come on.
We're just being frank.
We are just being frank.
Well, it's Santa.
All right,
Santa's
we're going to argue about
Christ.
this after. Let's not do it in front of the public.